guys, welcome to my channel, Analytics. So we're moving on our question number 6.
Dami naman yun.
Oh, dami kasi there are 33 questions.
Wow, sa ilan?
Alright. Okay. Oh my God. So, our number 6 questions is coming from Ray Castillo of TIP.
TIP Manila or QC?
QC.
QC.
So, he has 3 questions, sir. So, the first question is about, this is about ethical hacking. And since you are a certified hacker, so I'm sure that you can answer this. And the other one is, how is social engineering able to affect the data privacy? And the last one, what agency or government office should I consult if I have concern about data privacy? Is the consultation free?
Okay, first question. Do's and don'ts of an ethical hacker. So from the term itself, ethical hacking, yung negative part kasi it's about hacking. So yung positive doon is about ethical hacking. That means ethical hacking is
There's permission.
there is a permission to intrude
Up
to your
data,
system,
yes.
or any data or any system. So you do that only purposely with the minimum permission from the one using the system. For example, I will apply ethical hacking on your side, on your email, because probably nakalimutan mo yung password mo,
Okay.
or somehow. So I will apply ethical hacking, and that will be upon your permission. That's ethical hacking. It is the maturity level in terms of hacking is there because you only do hacking because you do it ethically, meaning there is a real purpose. I will not intrude in your email, in your personal information
Without permission.
The second question is,
What about this social engineering affect the data privacy?
well, for the basic definition of social engineering, it's about the manipulation of the personal information of any individuals. Social engineering will intrude probably your personal information in terms of what you have, or probably I can manipulate what will be your reactions in situations like this and like that. So privacy comes in when it comes to vis-a-vis social engineering and data privacy is that when I expressly disclose all the information I'll be getting from you to anybody, that is the problem when it comes to social engineering versus data privacy.
Okay, so the last one, sir, is there a consultation fee if there's an event to consult regarding this?
National
data
Privacy Commission is a government institution. All you have to do is to contact NPC, and you can consult all the people at the NPC for free. They're very welcoming and they're very helpful in terms of what the people would want from them in terms of everything: consultation, awareness, and or even complaints. They're entertaining complaints for free.
So for our next question is coming from, I'm going to get it.
Baka sabihin niya, ano?
Okay. So, ang next questions natin, this is coming from, actually, we done with this one. So, from Hipólito Orio of Las Piñas City National Senior High School.
Student?
Senior high school, professor.
A professor.
From Las Piñas City National Senior High School, CA campus. So the question is, how can we influence common people about the data privacy?
Influence
Yes.
common people about data privacy. Actually, we don't have to influence people about data privacy. All they have to do is do is to learn about what this law is all about. Because if you are the individual who doesn't know anything about the law itself, you might be at a loss. Because as an individual, you have certain rights that your personal information must be protected.
I think he's referring about the family information.
Well, when it comes to family information, just the same. Without consent, you cannot process your family's personal information, especially if
Even your daughter and your son?
Okay, it's a separate question.
Okay.
You're referring to your daughter, your child.
Oh.
If your child is 17 years old and below, under the Philippine law, you still have, the consent must be from the guardian.
Oh, okay.
But if your child is 18 and
years
above,
old. Mm.
that means you cannot anymore intrude when it comes to getting consent from them. So, ibig sabihin, if an individual is 18 years old and above, the consent must be from him, from the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're the parent, if you're the one sending them to school, you don't
Okay.
have access anymore to their personal information in school.
So unfair, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Even the grades of my son, I
Yeah.
cannot add, I cannot get it.
Unless
Oh my
your son
God.
gave you consent.
Oh, kaya pala hindi binibigay sa akin yung schedule. Sabi ko, asan yung schedule mo? Hindi ako binibigyan. Even the school,
Ito na anak ko.
I asked some schedule or some the grades of my son in his school, but sir will not give me. Mom, you have to ask permission. Oh my God.
Correct.
This is a data. See, this is from FE alam. Sir, we're moving on our 8 questions. Dito na ba? Ang dami na ba nating alam? So maganda yung ating Q&A, no? Marami tayong nalalaman. So this question is coming from my school. Miss Jasmine Tan, the president of Computer Science Society. You know her, right? Of the Institute of Computer Studies of St. Michael's College of Laguna. Jasmine Tan, there's the questions. So the first question, is there a way for us to screen emails that we are receiving in such a way that we can determine if it contains spyware or malware?
Okay, first, I will not mention this email, publicly available email like the likes of Gmail, Yahoo, and so on and so forth. But there are mechanisms that our personal information is being protected because to test whether the spyware or whatever malware that contains in it. Rule of thumb is if you don't know the sender of the email, you have the option not to open it. Okay. First, because you don't know who the sender is in terms of the contents, you might be clicking, there might be phishing, or there might be embedded, there might be unauthorized disclosure of your personal information once you press on the button for reading that particular email.
Is there a technique how to detect?
There's no technique actually, but it's really up to the system in terms of how these publicly available emails can protect our personal information. There are some
There's
free
a lot of
available
technique
tools.
on how to
Correct.
spyware
Correct.
and malware.
Correct.
Even in letters, right?
Correct.
So we have to open up and this an invitation. Then
Yes, even
afterwards,
if you open,
Yes.
even if you install a new antivirus today, tomorrow there will be new viruses that will be developed and discovered, and you need to update your antiviruses. So, as what I mentioned, rule of thumb: do not open if you suspect that an email is coming from an identified sender.
Because this is difficult to detect, so that's the
Correct.
reason why we have this program. So we have to
Correct.
strengthen this,
Correct.
and students should learn how
Correct.
to screen these emails
Correct.
because the majority of us we don't know
Correct.
what is this. What's the extent of this malware
Correct.
in a particular email.
Correct.
So the question number 2 is, up to what extent we can say that the data or information being collected from us falls under the practice of Data Privacy Act?
Okay, I think the question is referring to what kind of information
Yes, being collected from us,
an
from the
individual
students.
be giving. Okay, first, per concept of the Data Privacy Act, it must follow the 3 basic data privacy principles.
So what are these?
Okay, the 3 basic data privacy principles. First is transparency.
Transparency.
We are living in a consent regime. That means that all personal information that must be collected must have consent before you can process the personal information. Second is there should be a legitimate purpose. If I am collecting personal information from you, that means that what personal information that I will be collecting from you should have its legitimate purpose. I should not be collecting any personal information which do not have any purpose at all, specifically for legitimacy purposes. Third is the data privacy principle of proportionality. That means when I collect person, if I let's say for example I'm a school, if I collect personal information from you as a student, I will be only collecting personal information which is necessary.
Okay.
I will be avoiding. I should avoid getting any other personal information like number of households do you have, the income of your parents, your email address, their Facebook account, how many children does the family have, how many television sets, do you own condominiums, cars, etc., etc. Because that's not any more proportionate to the collection of personal information.
So we have to study the what they call the personal information sheet of the student.
Exactly.
So not all questions like what you said is part
Correct.
of that
It's not any more
collection.
proportionate. That
Because there
means-
are some questions that you have mentioned reflected
Yeah.
in the additional personal
Yeah.
information sheet of the students.
These are not anymore relevant to the collection of the personal information.
Okay. So, guys, you may check the relevancy of the data that you collected from the student. And I think also to you. And this is our last, no, this is the second last question for the first part of this Q&A.
Okay.
Sir. So, bibigyan natin ng jacket. Okay. So, our ninth question is coming from Professor Mark De Vera of the College of Information Technology and Engineering of De La Salle University, Lipa. So he has two questions. The first question is, to what extent can data privacy affect the information we provide to industry partners? It is okay to provide industry partners with student data for practicum, alumni data for employment, or faculty information for immersion purposes? That's number one question.
So that's the point of view from the school, giving personal information of students to industry partners. First, please do not give personal information of your students to industry partners in terms of job application, OJTs, or even job fairs without the explicit consent of the students themselves. That means you really need to get consent. Well, what information should be shared or to give to these industry partners? It's up to the organization or the school on what information, for as long as they follow the principles, the data privacy principles I mentioned earlier, which is the transparency, legitimate purpose, and proportionality. Okay, you email analytics, and I'll be sending her samples of privacy notices and consent, which may be applicable to your schools and to your institutions.
Okay, so thank you in advance, sir. So, sir, hindi pa tayo tapos sa question ni Sir De Vera. So, number 2 question, it is okay to post to social media student pictures and other information for winning in competition or passing board exams for recognition and at the same time for marketing purposes?
There's no explicit prohibition in terms of posting students' achievements from your schools to social media, tarpaulins, but you must be cautious of the implications of posting this. They might charge you with unauthorized disclosure of their personal information. We don't know exactly what their personal issues are in terms of your posting. So better yet, I would suggest that you ask consent before posting any personal information, whether that's a name, achievements, or even the pictures of your students in social media or in any form of advertisement, whether that's for marketing purposes or whatever purpose it may serve. Because posting them elsewhere might violate the Data Privacy Act itself.
Do you have already the the law on the or the regulation on the Facebook?
Okay, there's no exact advisory released by the National Privacy Commission when it comes to posting of Facebook
Or social
personal
media?
information on the social media platforms. But following the principles of the data privacy.
Sure. Ayan, sir. This is our last question for our part 1. Sir,
Okay, last question for
last
part
question
one.
for part 1 because we have 33 questions coming from different colleges and universities in the Philippines. And this is the last question for our part 1. And this is research-related questions. I like this.
Kaya galing yung question.
The question is coming from Dr. Francis Balahadja of Laguna State Polytechnic University.
LSPU, Francis.
LSPU, Dr. Francis Balahadja. As researcher, what are the things do I need to do or consider, especially in conducting data collection and interview to avoid data privacy?
To avoid data privacy or to avoid violation about data privacy.
Same
Anyway, if Dr. Francis Malahadja is I know he's a researcher, but collecting data from individuals under the research category, at a certain point, there are exemptions when it comes to research. However, if you are doing research in a private capacity, you must also you must ask consent from the data subjects. Like for example, if you're done with the research and the research comes in the final stage of publication, no personal information when it comes to the respondents should be published without the explicit consent. Like for example, Dr. Ana Ramos responded that this is such and such. Her responses are because not obtaining consent from the data subject might have its legal implications again in terms of violation of the Data Privacy Act. However, if you are a researcher and you need to publish the information obtained from Dr. Ana Ramos, you might want to use two terminologies under the Data Privacy Act, but these two terminologies are not yet in full implementation in terms of its usage. One is anonymization and the second one is pseudonymization. For example, Dr. Ana Lisa Ramos' name might be removed from the final research output. However, the researcher might want to use respondent A, respondent B, respondent C, answers the questions and such, blah, blah, blah. Okay?
So, no mentioning of names?
No mentioning of names. Anonymization can be used.
So, really, when we have the survey, sir, so there's a statement of work. See you on the part 2 of this Q&A with Dr. Lansigan on Data Privacy Act of 2012. Okay, so you have to draft a statement purposely for the data privacy.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all for our part 1. So
Thank you.
bye!